Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Stuff and Things podcast. I am Sam. We're talking House of the Dragon Season 2 Episode 1 today as we return to Westeros. Joining me is my partner in crime, it's Stefan.
Hello everybody, how are we doing?
Yeah, well I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I am good. I'm glad to be back in Westeros.
Yeah.
As I did need a recap at the beginning, which I didn't seem to get, but apart from that, I am all good and I'm in. I'm ready, and I forgot how much I like this show.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny you just said that about a recap. I was kind of hoping for that as well. And what I find kind of interesting is as I was watching episode 1, I was like, oh, I forgot about that. Oh, I forgot about him. Oh, I hate that guy. And I was just, it was just kind of like, it was quite funny.
As it kind of went through and you kind of reintroduced the characters and they're talking now, obviously you remember the main plot points of, the death at the end of the first season and the dragon fight. You remember all these bits and pieces. And then as the show kind of carries on, you go, oh, yeah, I forgot about that bit. And, oh, yeah, they've made the blockade. That's all in place now. Yep, I forgot about that. And they kind of, every time they say something, you're going, oh, yeah, look, there's Kriston. Yep, remember, he's doing everyone still. Yep, remember him.
Sir Cole, who is the worst Kingsguard in the history of the Kingsguard.
You pretty much, yeah. If you ask him to guard something, he's going to screw it.
Well,
it's pretty much what I've learned.
Well, more that he's normally busy screwing in whilst, royal family are dying.
Something big is happening, and he's always. Yeah. That's a good point, actually. Yeah,
he's balls deep. So, like I said, this is us returning to Westeros. The Game of Thrones saga, if you like, continues. House of the Dragon Season 2 is here, and the show has been renewed for a Season 3. Season 3 will begin filming in the autumn of this year, and given the length of filming times typically for this show, and also the post-production that goes into it, dragons, basically. I don't want to ruin this for everybody, but they're not real. They're CGI.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they didn't just pop down to the local zoo and borrow some dragons. So with that in mind,
really well trained.
Yeah, so with that in mind, it would appear that the plan that many people thought and rumours was going to happen is going to happen, which is HBO have commissioned a second spin-off to Game of Thrones called The Hedge Knight. Now, The Hedge Knight is already filming and is due to be released next year, 2025. So the rumour has been for some time that where they fell down or where they struggled with Game of Thrones was they were doing it every year, just basically churning it out a season per year. They've decided that their production will be better and costs will be a little bit better if they do one show 1 year and then the next and sort of so alternate. So we're getting Season 2 of the House of Dragon now. Next year from Westeros will be the Hedge Knight, and then we'll get Season 3 of the House of the Dragon the following year, which again, I mean, I'm older. I like my shows returning year on year.
Yeah, that's a big. I didn't realise it'd been so long since the first season came out.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only problem you're going to really have on that is when you've got like the child actors in there.
Yeah.
If you're leaving a 2-year gap, a child can change appearance a lot.
Oh,
in 2 years.
Yeah.
Especially if this is meant to this is literally the next few days after season 1 has happened. There's not much, or there's a couple of weeks, there's a couple of gap, not masses. But you've actually got like a year and a bit of of real time.
Yeah, if you see the prince that went off to meet Cregan Stark, I mean, basically he grew up a lot heading to the north. It would appear.
Yeah, it's a long distance to the north.
The north ages a person, basically, is what I'm saying.
It's very cold. Yeah, it's not good.
Really,
not good for
really
skin.
had an impact on him.
Yeah.
This is we're going to be discussing House of the Dragon season 2 episode 1 and all of the juicy details. But as per tradition on this show, the title of the episode was
A Son for a Son.
That's correct, my friend. Well done. You're back in it now. You're back.
At last.
Anyone who listens to this show, and we do a lot of other podcasts,
I'm having a rough time at the moment.
Yeah, you've been getting them wrong, but no, a son for a son. Given the context of the episode, I'd have been kind of very disturbed, and possibly would have even edited it on your behalf if you'd got this one wrong.
Yeah.
So let's kick off.
No, it would have been all right. I knew it. I was okay.
The show has a new opening title sequence with like a tapestry taking shape.
I like that. That was good.
I'm going to say this to you. One of the things that House of the Dragon Season 1 I hated was the opening titles. I didn't like the blood thing. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it at all. I was just like, no, that's not for me. Whereas Game of Thrones used to start like the title sequence of all the castles and everything across Westeros. I never skipped that once. That was like, da 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 da.
If I remember correctly, I think I skipped it. Literally, I skipped it once, and then you opened the podcast with, "What did you think about the new bit of the opening credits?" I was like, "Oh, right, yeah." So I never skip them now, just in case.
That's how life works. But yeah, I really like the new opening sequence. I really like that. Hearing that Game of Thrones theme as well still was very epic.
Yep.
I kind of feel like they opened season 2 with what can only be described as some serious fan service. Like a massive kind of like, hey, you're Game of Thrones fans, therefore the vast majority of you are pro House Stark. So guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna
go show you the beginning. Yeah.
We're gonna give you the episode right at the very start. The Raven coming in, and we get to see Winterfell, and then we head up to the wall, and we hear the voice of Cregan Stark. And my main note here is that Cregan Stark and the actor playing him is doing a very, very good Sean Bean impression.
Yeah.
And I'm here.
You don't want to do that. You'll die in the first couple of episodes. Don't do Sean Bean impressions.
What makes me laugh about this, and I imagine most fans of the show and Game of Thrones know this, but it's just a little bit of trivia that I find hilarious, is when they cast the show, and so they've cast Sean Bean, and they've got all the kids that are going to play his children, right?
Yeah.
And they said to Sean Bean, they said, Sean, can you do a more RP accent, a more kind of neutral accent? And Sean Bean apparently looked at the showrunners and went, no, like that. And so they turned around to all the kids and were like, right, kids, you need to learn his accent.
Oh, God.
So basically, Sean Bean was in this thinking like, I'm in this show. I'm only in it for like 8-9 episodes. Am I going to bother doing a different accent? No, I'm just going to sound like me. So then you've got all these child actors. You've got the kid who played his son, who was Scottish, brilliant with accents, by the way, but clearly a big difference. Kit Harington, very sort of posh Middle English sort of accent. Sophie Turner, the same. And so all of them. And my favourite one is Kit Harington. He did an interview and they said, how did you get the accent? He said, I listened and watched O2 adverts over and over and over again to get Sean Bean's voice.
Wow.
So it's very funny. And one of the comments I saw online was like, oh, Cregan Stark sounding just like Kit Harington, genius. And I'm like, that's not how Kit Harington sounds. Kit Harington was doing a Sean Bean impression. So
yeah, Kit Harington is actually very, very posh and well spoken.
Yeah, very well spoken. Yeah, so it's quite it was funny to me just listening to that guy nail that accent at the start, like up north. You know, he basically does this opening monologue, which was good. and we get to see the wall
Confused
again.
the crap out of me.
Yeah, you said that to me on a message. Why were you confused?
I don't know, like, he kind of started like this, like, old school. It looked like he was going to be like some sort of old school flashback, and it was all talking about the Starks, and I'm like, no, wait a minute, this show's all about the Targaryens. Why are we? Oh no, what's happening? I'm so confused. And then you see Jace up on the wall, and I'm like, oh, okay, no, he's gone to go visit the Starks at the wall, right? Okay, no.
You'd forgotten that from.
I got that. Yeah, I've forgotten that bit, and I'm like, why are we talking about the Starks?
Yeah,
this is strange.
Season 1.
And I'm like, oh yeah, he got sent to go get them. Right, yep, I remember now.
Season 1, the two sons were sent out as emissaries. He sent to the Starks, and his brother, unfortunately for him, went to the Stormlands to meet the Baratheons, and of course then was killed. So I loved this opening. Like I said, I felt it was a bit of fan service. The Stark theme playing, which then I stuck on the podcast because I loved it. Seeing Winterfell, then seeing the wall, well manned, like a silly detail, but the Night's Watch was an army at this point. Of course, when we see the Night's Watch, it's kind of all the castles are kind of falling into disrepair. They're struggling to man the wall, whereas this, he's talking about. Not only do all the waifs and strays go to the wall, 1 in 10 from my household will go. Even family, my own kin, they'll man the wall because it's our sacred duty. And you go there and you see it, and it is an army. It's like an active army base. So that was just a little detail that I liked.
With enough men on there for him to be able to kind of send a load off with the Targaryens, and that's not what we know.
Yeah. So what I find interesting as well was obviously the Night's Watch is separate from House Stark. So the Night's Watch has its own Lord Commander, which they would have had at the time. But whilst Lord Stark was there, everyone was like, my lord. It's just like House Stark rules the North. I mean, they are the kind of the kings in the North, where it was House Stark. So obviously they're very well revered. A little detail I loved as well is during the monologue he talks about his father brought King Jaehaerys up there with Queen Alicent, and the dragons refused to cross the wall. And that's a detail from the books, which I know a lot of people were kind of pissed in Game of Thrones when Daenerys flew her dragon over the wall, because they were like, well, in the books, the dragons refuse. So, what the hell's changed? Now obviously, things change. And also, they were possibly, so many years on, the same impact wasn't there. But I loved that detail. That was like I think he says, like, the greatest power in the world refused to cross. My ancestors built a 700-foot wall in ice. It wasn't to keep the weather out.
It wasn't just to keep the snow out, yeah.
Yeah.
And we get the famous line, we get the fact that winter is coming.
Winter is coming. Winter's coming, like that.
Winter's always coming.
Yeah. Would be a great name for a porn star, wouldn't it? Anyway. So I loved that opening. I was really pleased, and I loved the way, because I always think it like TV shows. One of the most difficult things I think is like transitions. Like you're telling multiple stories all happening simultaneously. How do you kind of like cut between them without it being like all over the place? And so it's like a really nerdy thing, but I always love a kind of transition that kind of ties in. So the Raven arrives with urgent news from Dragonstone, and you see him read it and his face. So the news has arrived that his brother is, the guy's brother is dead, and he's got to look up and tell him.
That's not fun.
And I kind of loved that then we then go to Dragonstone. So it was kind of like it was interlinked. Now, you mentioned this about, him sending down an army. He basically offers him his greybeards. So
the old boys.
So what he's basically said to him is like, I'm sort of torn between keeping my eye north, and south. But what I can do is put together 2,000 grizzled old bastards, like veterans, who trust me. He's like, oh, if they'll fight, and he's like, they'll fight hard. Like, don't worry about that. They are not.
Yeah.
They'll fight like Northerners.
I can just imagine like proper grizzled old
well,
well, fuck them up.
Yeah. I got this kind of,
go.
Lord of the Rings, like the dwarfs is what I've got in my mind, like, bearded, axe wielding lunatics. And you go to like other things and you sort of like the Vikings and like their old would want to go and fight because they'd rather die in battle than like in their beds. So I got this image of like these 2,000 Northerners, absolute berserkers. It's gonna be funny because that's the image in my head right now, and this could be destroyed if like we then see like, oh, here's the Northern Army, and they're like, hello, I can't find my shoes.
My sword's heavy.
I dropped my sword and I can't pick it up. Yeah, so like all of them have got like
geriatric brigade come around the corner.
Yeah. We're here, but we're tired. Is it lunchtime? Yeah. So
I've been walking 24 minutes.
Yeah. How long does it take this army to arrive? Oh, they're going to take a long time. They're shuffling their way down the King's Road. So I kind of, like I said, I kind of love that, and I love that image I have in my mind. I hope that doesn't get destroyed. I love that image of these like absolute gnarly, grizzled veteran scars, like grey beards. And
they've got the motivation of I'm going to keep killing until I'm killed and just charge. Yeah.
And basically like marching down south, like, why are we doing this? Like a real attitude. So I like that. I like that idea. So we see that now. There is a rumor circulating online, which I'd be a little bit disappointed, but I'd kind of understand that that's it. That's all we're going to see of Cregan Stark in this entire season. If that is the case, I'm going to be a little bit gutted because I love that intro and I'm like, oh, show me more of these Northern lunatics. But yeah, we shall see.
Yeah.
We then, like I said, head to Dragonstone and we have another scene which, I'll tell you this now, and I don't know what your opinion is. There's a lot of scenes in this with minimal dialogue, or quite sharp dialogue. But the acting is so on point. It like conveys emotion like being punched in the face.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think this show's never really been massively kind of action or dialogue heavy. It's just been some fantastic acting. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree.
So
I'm assuming you're talking about the scene where we see Prince Daemon getting ready at Dragonstone. The conversation between him and his aunt?
Oh, mate.
I get very confused with that. I was trying to explain this to the wife last night. She was like, oh, yeah, so he's married to... I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't just accept what you see on the screen.
Yeah,
don't try and work out the family tree.
I think that's his aunt. Could be his sister, wife. I don't know. No, I think that's his aunt. Now, Rhaenys says to him... I mean, Daemon... See, I don't like Daemon, so let's put this out there. I don't like him. As a character, I don't like him. I also don't like Matt Smith as an actor, and I know that's sacrilege. And a lot of people are like, oh, how could you say that? I've just never liked him. I don't know why. I think he's a good actor. I just don't like him. So, that's just a weird thing for me. Like, I've never met the guy, but I just, you know what I mean? Just like some people, like their face rubs you the wrong way, and I can't tell you why, but there's something about him. I just think, oh, there's something about you I don't like. So I don't know whether that influences me, but I also focus in on the character. I've never liked the character. Like I've
never quite worked out his kind of motivation. Like 1 minute his motivation is very much I'm going to be on the throne. And then it seems like actually his motivation is something else. And then it seems it's something else. And then it goes back to it. And I'm like, I cannot tell fully what his end goal actually is anymore.
Yeah. No, his brother was very much about keeping the peace, about, live and let live, trying to not engage in wars and stuff. And whereas Daemon was like, yeah, let's just go. We got dragons. Let's just burn everything. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. His attitude was very different. Yeah.
And he basically says this now, like, let's ride. Let's go torch the place. Let's do this. And Rhaenys just like levels in with this line, like, well, you're not my king. you know, and I was just like,
ouchie.
yeah, nice. Mic drop, walks off in your face.
Yeah, you're going to turn around, 2 fingers up and walks off, yeah.
I mean, another little detail on that, which I think is important, is Rhaenys talking about grief. So Rhaenyra's missing, and Daemon's like bitching about it, like, oh, the mother mourns, but the queen is absent. I'm like, oh, you asshole. Just like,
yeah,
you're literally being an asshole. And Rhaenys says, which is key to the episode, like, a raven brought me the news of my child's death, and I couldn't accept it and couldn't begin to move past and grieve until I had something like the remains and the funeral. And so she needs time. Like, you need to give her this time. Like, she needs to be able to do this. Rhaenyra, Queen Rhaenyra. I'm just going to say this now. I'm going to apologise for pronunciations for all these names. I'm doing my best.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it, because mate, I look at the list of names and I'm like, Rhaenyra, Rhaenyra, Helena, and I'm like, no.
well, Queen. I mean, she's my queen as well. So Queen Rhaenyra, how many words do you think she speaks in this entire episode?
She literally has that one line of I want him dead, and that's it, isn't it, really?
I want Daemon Targaryen. Yeah, 4 words. But I think she is completely captivating in the scenes. There is a scene where Queen Rhaenyra finds the wing of the dragon, and I'm not sure if it's remains or just his clothes.
I think it's like his coat or something. Yeah,
and it's kind of like that's the moment that Rhaenys was talking about, which is that's the kind of confirmation. At the moment, it's just a raven, and he's missing. Is he dead? I'm not sure. And now it's I now know.
There's the wing of a dragon. That kind of that sums that one up.
Interesting detail, which is something I wasn't aware, but I learned after the episode. Because did you notice that the dragon walks over and basically does like a really loud cry as well? Like not a kind of like dragon come and have a go if you think you're hard enough noise, but like a real pained kind of thing.
Yes.
That dragon that she rides is the mother of the dead one. So that is 2 mothers grieving.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, it's like a detail that I thought was really great. And
yeah,
now I know that, listening to that dragon make that noise in that moment whilst Rhaenyra's also just in bits, I was like, wow, yeah, that's detail. I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Like we said, she then returns and she literally says these 4 lines. Now, I've seen a lot of this and it's made me laugh, which is Daemon putting on his hoodie means war crimes are about to happen.
So true.
That guy,
so true.
That guy was like ready to do something. He was itching, climbing the walls. I want to get some sort of revenge. I want to burn something. I want to wreck shit. She says those 4 words and walks off. The whole, like, her counselor, like, okay, well, what should we do? What should we plan? And he's just like, fetch my hoodie.
Yeah, I need the hood.
I'm going to get shit done.
Yes.
I'm jumping around a little, but I'm trying to kind of follow the story. So, we see Driftmark, and we see the sea snake still really messed up. He barely survived what he went through. And but he wants to get back out there. I mean, he's a grizzled sailor, badass, and his ship is just wrecked. And
mate, when the camera zooms out and he's like, "How long is he going to take to get back on the water?" and it zooms out, and you're like, "Oh, it's going to take a while."
A little detail with that, which I loved, is as he says that, the guy he's talking to shoots him a look for a couple of seconds of like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like,
yeah, you can see that, right?
You have eyes, like I know you're walking with a stick, but it didn't affect your eyesight, right? You can see that wrecked ship that you're now like, yeah, get on with it. Are you fixing it or what? So that was interesting. I always feel that when you get a character and they get a significant scene and a bit of dialogue, there's more to that character. Now, there's the character he's talking to. I didn't make a note of his name, so apologies everybody, but I just feel like that guy's got a part to play. He says a line about he's contacted his brother and to try and reinforce the ships. And I'm like, who are you? Okay, right, who are you? And also, the sea snake basically says, I understand you're the person who saved me.
Yeah, you dragged me from the water.
Yeah, so...
And there was a split second where I was like, is he about to tell him off for dragging him out the water?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, there was that split second where it was like...
I should have died with my ship. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you're the person that dragged me out the water. And then I'm waiting for him to go, don't do that again. Sort of thing. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
no, I know exactly what you mean, but I'm kind of glad that's not where that went. I like.
Yeah.
What
he went down the indebted thing, and I'm like, the fact he said that I'm indebted to you was like, okay, this guy definitely part to play.
Yeah, there's definitely something there. He also delivers to him via the Smiths a gift that he had commissioned for his son, who, of course, now this is something I'd forgotten and then remembered. He thinks his son's dead, but his son isn't dead.
No, they faked it and legged it.
His son wanted to get away because he wanted to live. You know, he had a boyfriend, wanted to live that life, and didn't want to be beholden to his marriage to Rhaena. So I got this weird feeling. I could be completely wrong, and people who have read the books and stuff could probably like go, "Ooh," like if I'm right, or just laugh at me if I'm wrong. I've got a horrible feeling that the sea snake and his wife are going to betray Rhaenyra, because they blame her for her son's death, and he's not even dead. Does that make sense? Like, I got... It feels like that's going to happen to me. I don't know why, but it just feels like... Because it was that little scene of... You just see his grief and rage of, you know, his heir died. And the guy says to him as well, like, you know, we were all just the way... I think he said it was like a black day that someone did that. It's like everybody just knows or thinks Daemon and Rhaenyra, because of course Daemon then married her like instantly, so it's like everyone's just like, we know he was killed for that. We all know it, you know it, but we're all just pretending like it doesn't bother us.
Yeah, there's going to be some fallout from that at some point, surely.
Yeah. I just there's something there. I just
that's 2 mentions of his death in one episode. And you're like, yeah, there's a reason they're mentioning this.
Yeah, it just kind of smacks to me of kind of the ultimate, because there's so much well written stuff in all of this, and it just smacks to me of them betraying her for thinking they killed her son, when in reality their son wanted to escape the life of being the heir, and they helped him. Which I remember at the time, me and you discussing it, being like, did they try and kill him, but he orchestrated it? Did what happened? But it felt very much like they had the plan and kind of did it themselves. Because, of course, like, his marriage to her was like a sham. He knew it. Like, she was having it off with the Strongs to have the babies, and he was just like, hey, look, a new one. Oh, damn, it's got dark hair again. Oh, people can ask us questions. But he was fully on board. So, yeah, it was... Yeah, I mean, I like that story, and it would make me very sad, because I quite liked all the characters involved there, so thinking that they turn on each other would be a bit crappy, but I got a horrible feeling that's where that's going.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see kind of where that does result in. Are they going to be on side the whole way through, or is there going to be a moment where they go, no, do you know what, actually... You've had children over, so therefore you're in trouble as well.
Yeah, well...
Interesting to find out.
At the moment, the Sea Snake and his fleet are kind of important, because they are blockading King's Landing. So they are creating a tension and a problem which needs to be dealt with. And it's either going to be dealt with, you know, blood and fire or something. But their blockade is causing like a lot of problems for the Greens at King's Landing, and the blockade also captures Mysaria. Now, Mysaria was a character that I'd completely forgotten from season 1.
Took me a moment. Took me a moment to work out.
The White Worm, and she was basically an unofficial master of whisperers at King's Landing, where she had people in the households, the servants, and the brothels, and she basically traded.
She knew everything.
She traded information, and as she says to Daemon, Like, I wasn't loyal to you. I wasn't loyal to them. I was loyal to being paid. Like, someone came to me with money and said, find out this. I found out for them and took the money. She was like, all of this house loyalty crap's for all you highborn people. I'm lowborn. I just wanted my money.
Which is fair. Yeah, I'm up for that. That's fine.
What's your opinion on Daemon at this moment? Because Daemon's like blaming her for everything. He then has a go at the... Because there's this funny thing that we've got twins fighting on opposite sides, by the way, which I find quite amusing. But he has a go at the twin Queensguard, because that's what this one is.
Yeah.
And he actually stands up for himself. Like, kind of goes, "Oi, no, don't... What do you expect me to do? Like, you know, I swore an oath to protect the royal family. What am I supposed to do when the royal family are killing each other?"
Yeah, I swore an oath to protect the whole family. Yeah. What was I meant to do? And you're like, fair point, buddy.
I fucking loved that.
Fair point.
I was like, oh, what a line. What a phenomenal point of view that I probably would have skipped over. Like, oh, you just stood there whilst this happened. It was like, hang on a minute. While you're attacking me for my honour and all this stuff, what was I meant to do? Like,
yeah, I couldn't do my job because my job was to protect everyone. So
I swore an oath to protect the whole royal family, and the royal family are killing each other. And I'm like, well, who do I protect, or who do I fight with? What do I do?
Yeah.
But the fact we've got twins on opposite sides quite kind of amusing to me.
Yeah, you feel like that's going to come to a head at some point as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Someone's getting killed by the other blatantly.
Yes.
So we have that going on, and he basically uses the White Worm to get information to get him into King's Landing, and to meet up with a guy who's part of the City Watch, which he sorted out. He was the head of the Gold Cloaks. And so a lot of them, if not all of them, are probably still loyal to him. And I thought that was an interesting detail that I'd kind of forgotten as well.
Yeah, like I've got a tribute for you, and they're like, oh, fuck them. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, on his side.
I understand you're not a fan of the High Towers. Fuck the High Towers. I mean, that guy had a real awesome voice. I wonder if he's an ancestor of the Cleganes. He had that look about him, don't you think? Like the mountain hound.
Yes. Yeah, he definitely had that kind of attitude as well.
Yeah. The kind of right. Yeah.
All right.
So I'm just gonna park that there because I want to finish with what happens there. But earlier throughout the episode, so whilst all of that's happening, Dragonstone up north and everything, we actually get to see what's going on at King's Landing with a small council meeting where it's just weird. The king is like not interested at all. They're discussing like, oh, we've sent ravens unanswered, which basically is like the Westeros version of being left on red, which made me laugh.
Being ghosted, yeah.
And they're like, oh, we got to prepare for war and we got to be strategic. And he's just like, oh, I'll just ride out and burn all the ships. They're like, you can't do that. They've got dragons as well. And he's like, yeah,
bigger.
Yeah, mine's bigger. And it's like, yes, but if you do that, then you leave King's Landing unprotected. The only reason why they've not just flown in here is because of Vagar. And so it's like they're trying to be counsel to him. And it kind of makes me laugh because he is very, he wasn't a kid who like aspired to be king. He's ended up being king and is now kind of almost, you see he's got all of like his mates around him. And I saw someone online like describe it as throne bros, which made me laugh. Like, bro, you're totally king and it's totally cool. Totally.
Yeah, they're all getting drunk and he's kind of like just laying on there. And I'm like,
and they're talking about like, you could be like Aegon II, the Magnificent. Yeah, I like being the Magnificent. Oh, the Magnanimous. The Magnanimous? What? And it's like, he's surrounded himself with ass kissers and, sycophants who are basically just like awful for him. And then you've got his grandfather Otto is now serving as the hand again to him and is trying to manipulate him, trying to influence him with everything. Like you see the scene where people coming in with petitions. And it's like, oh, you took 20 of my sheep. And I said, all right, yeah, you can have them back. No worries. And Otto's like, we need them to feed the dragons. Yeah, but we just let this guy have them back. no, because if you let one guy have them back, everyone wants them back. How would everyone else know? It's like, oh my God, kid. And it's like, yeah, this guy's come all this way. Come on, I feel bad. Let him have his sheep back. And it's like, no.
In this moment,
can't.
I was like, oh, he's trying to be a good king.
Exactly.
Nice.
Like, I don't.
He's genuinely trying to be the nice guy.
I don't dislike him. Like, I am Team Rhaenyra, but I don't dislike him as a character. I mean, he's a bit weird, but they're all a bit weird. So he's like,
than his brother. Let's be honest. Yeah.
And then so he gets kind of overruled on that, and he's like, oh, okay. So upon reflection, yeah, you can't have him back. Next. And the farmer's like, oh, fucking hell, okay. And then you got like the Smiths, like, look, we're like basically starving, and because we're working night and day for your army, but no one's paying us. So, is there like any chance we could have the money first? Because like, ouch, and we're struggling. And he's like, yeah, okay. And you can see Otto's ready to step in again, and he gives him a look like, I'm fucking king, and I'm giving someone what they want today. Don't step to me, old man.
And then he makes like such a good almost like the battle speech. This war will be won by the small folk who do this, not by us. And it's like almost like Otto's kind of like,
okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe I'll get the people on board. Okay, maybe.
All right. Okay. Get your back in. All right, fair enough. So
got one out, two, one on. Yeah.
Yeah. I also liked the way the guy's terrified. Like, I'm talking to the king. If I misspeak, I'm dead. And he's like, oh, I'll speak. And he's like, says, oh, like, we're so devoted to you and everything. And then the king goes, but like, yes. I know something's coming. So come on, get to it. Yeah. So I like that scene. I like those scenes because I think it demonstrates that he's just not that interested. A little bit cocky, a little bit like they talk about the blockade, and he's like, "Don't worry about the blockade. I'm just gonna fly out soon and wreck it." He's trivializing that, very kind of like, it's nothing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he fully understands. Like they're trying to. The Otto's trying to get to the point, and his mother's trying to get to the point with him, like, no, you can't do that because of this, and we got to be more tactical and strategic. His brother, who of course has started this into absolute bloodshed and manicness,
who's really upset that he's being blamed for it.
Yeah,
I'm like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. But he actually appears to have a more tactical approach to it. There's a scene with the worst Kingsguard in the history of the world, Kristen Cole, and they're kind of talking strategy, and you're like, okay, he's actually not as hot-headed as you feel. Or perhaps in the moment he is, but in this particular instance, he's actually being kind of more methodic, more thinking it through. And his brother's just kind of like, yeah, ride the dragons, burn shit, woo! So it's like, oh, God. One of the things as well is he takes his son to the small council meeting.
He'll be here one day anyway, so let's bring him in. Yeah.
Now, I didn't quite realise the level of foreshadowing in this scene until the end of the episode. But he obviously says that line you just said. But also his sister wife, Helena.
Sister wife, yep.
She actually says, I'm afraid. And he's like, oh, there's nothing to be afraid of. They won't fly here with dragons. She's like, it's not the dragons. It's the rats.
Yes.
And he completely ignores her, like, in the Queen of Funny Bugger. Wow, nutter. But it's not the first time she's had feelings and visions almost of stuff. And I should have picked up on it, but I'd forgotten it, really, from season 1. And it wasn't until the end of the episode, and it all just kind of hit me like, oh, wow, she knew that was coming. She could sense that was coming. And it was the rats and the rat catcher that allowed that to happen.
I'd completely forgotten about that from season 1.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, I wrote down in my notes, all right, Frankie foreshadow, what are you doing? But yeah.
Here's a big tablespoon of foreshadowing.
Yeah. Enjoy. Num, 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 num. So that was good. A character I'd completely forgotten, and I mean completely forgotten, and then he hobbled on the screen, and I was like, oh, I hate this guy. He's a creepy little bastard.
Clubfoot.
Lord Larys, the Clubfoot. Lord Larys has two moments in this, and I just want to pick them both out because Queen Alicent, or Queen Mother, I guess now, Alicent, Queen Regent, or whatever they want to call her in this. He says to her like, "Oh, I've identified all the people who betrayed us. They're dead, and I've now all of your staff can now be trusted because I've handpicked them." Now he also says he tried to talk to her earlier, but her handmaiden said she was indisposed. He's basically letting her know, I know you're nailing Cole, because your handmaiden, who I have handpicked, has told me that. And so he just makes it abundantly clear that now she can't do anything without him knowing. And then in the very next scene, she's having a bath and she suddenly realises she's surrounded by all these servants and staff, and all of them belong to him. And so she's like, "Oh, leave me, I'll do it myself." And she's like scrubbing herself, like, and no matter how hard she scrubs, she can't get clean. She feels completely like, watched and freaked out.
And he's not the sort of person that you want having that sort of situation. He's a weird bugger.
He is. I mean, he likes her feet, which again, let's forget that scene from
part of that one, yeah.
Yeah, that as soon as I saw him come back on screen, I was like, "Oh no, I remember all that now. I'd repressed it."
Yeah.
So we also get a scene where he talks to the king, and he is trying to manipulate the king to basically get rid of Otto Hightower as the hand, and I'm guessing he's trying to position himself into that role.
That's what I took from it. Yeah.
He is the master manipulator of this, and he is not good people.
What was it Littlefinger, wasn't it? It's like he's basically just like, this season's version of that, the ultimate manipulator. Yeah,
he's
fingers in all the pies, trying to work everything to his advantage.
Yeah, he's a weird bad dude. Don't like him at all.
Not good vibes, no.
No, not good. So let's dive into Daemon committing war crimes. Then he manages to sneak into King's Landing. He approaches a rat catcher, and he has this gold cloak big guy. I swear his surname must be Clegane. He looks like a Clegane, sounds like one. Certainly got the morals of one.
Definitely.
And he basically pays them and says, like, go kill Prince Daemon. Kill him. And there's this moment, and I think this is one of those that's being left open for us to debate and us to make our minds up. Because the guy says, "Then what if we can't find him?" And he just looks at him, and then the scene cuts away. So I'm gonna ask
you, like, he definitely says silver hair and eye patch.
Oh yeah, no, he makes it abundantly clear this is who I want him to kill. But he asked him the question. He's like, "Okay, and what if we can't find him? Like, do you want us to just leave? Do you want us to kill anyone? What would you want us to do?" And it's left blank. So it's left for us to interpret. Does he tell him? So I'm going to ask you the question. Do you think he says, if you can't find him, keep fucking looking? Or do you think he says, if you can't find him, a son, any son, just kill a son?
Yes, I think me and you have gone down very different routes in this.
Yeah.
See, when he said that to me, and what if we can't find him? To me, that was the rat catcher going, and do I get to keep the money even if I just go to the castle and walk back out and go, couldn't find him? Like, I kind of went down that route of that was the rat catcher going, and how much do I actually have to do to get the money? Like, if I go into the castle for a few hours and come out and, I couldn't find him. Yeah. I get the money? I don't get the money? How does this work?
Yeah.
And then the look from Damien was kind of more like, you're going to fucking find him.
Yeah,
like,
no. See,
I'm telling you to find him. I've got the money. You fucking find him.
I didn't take it that way because he wasn't going on his own. He was going. Here's my friend. He's now your friend. So there's no way he could have thought to himself, "I'm just going to go sit in the sewers for 3 hours and walk back out because
Nope.
Because I'm not on my own." So that kind of So I didn't think that. My mind is I can't make my mind up if Daemon told him to kill any son, because the guy he's with, who I'm just going to call an honorary Clegane, basically says, like, oh, well, it's a son, we have to kill a son. Now, is that because they've decided in that moment, oh, any son will do, let's get out of here? Or is it because he said to them, like, a son for a son, go and just kill me one?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because
I feel like that's got to be explored.
I also don't know how Rhaenyra and everyone's gonna view that, because like Daemon's gone and orchestrated it. The Greens are obviously gonna fucking freak out. You know, the king's son and heir has just been killed in his bed in the Red Keep, so they're not safe. Like they're not safe there at all. All of that whole thing from Larys, like, oh, don't you worry, you're surrounded by staff I've handpicked, you know, nod and a wink. But then someone has literally just got into the castle, walked across the throne room where the king was getting drunk with his mates, and walked into the bedroom and killed his son. Now, not only did they do that, and I'm not going to overly talk about the grossness of that scene.
The sound effects.
But I do think we need to just establish and talk about the fact that Queen Helena has got a knife to her throat, and her choices are all three of them die, her daughter, and her son, or the son dies.
Yeah. Because you realise, like, if they had killed the wrong one, so when she grabs the child and she runs.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's given the wrong child. Oh my gosh, she has. She's sacrificed her daughter, grabbed the boy and run. And then when she sits on the floor and goes, they've killed the boy, I'm like, oh shit, she really did make that choice.
Well, to me, it's like, this is just every parent nightmare. How could you possibly choose between your children? But at the same time, all of them die or one of them dies.
Yeah,
like she's in this situation. It's like terrible, and the rat catcher guy looks at her as she's pointing, and he's like, "Yeah, no, she's telling the truth." And
you can see it in her eyes.
Yeah, she is. She is. She just wants to grab her daughter and get out of there. Now, Helena's having possibly the worst moment a person could ever have, ever. As a parent, a mother, she's just watched and heard grotesquely her son being butchered, and he's having his head chopped off as she runs out of the room.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, but one of the worst things I can ever possibly imagine would be to then walk in on my mother railing some Kingsguard.
Now, I've got to admit, of all of the scenes that she has in this episode, she's being sexually gratified in all but one, I think, the Queen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. The Queen who questioned Rhaenyra's morals. She was the one who questioned Rhaenyra's morals and her things, because she was doing it with this particular Kingsguard, if you remember. What about honour? What about duty and all that stuff? And now she's doing the exact same thing with the exact same guy. And
constantly saying it can't happen again.
Yeah,
it won't happen again.
But I just want to focus on Helena in this. Helena has just had that happen and runs into her mother's bedroom and is confronted with that and just sits down on the floor, and it's like, Helena's, what's wrong? They've killed the boy. And I'm just like, how? I mean, that kid's always been a bit messed up and a bit not all there. She's now married to her brother, which, you know, Targaryens, guys, no wonder why you all went a bit crazy.
Well, yeah, that's only going to last so many generations before it starts going very wrong.
I think it already has. I think she and her brothers are, like, demonstrating that, it's a bit messed up. It's why Rhaenyra having it off with the Strong family is probably a good thing. Put a bit of different DNA into the bloodstream. That's why her kids are more well adjusted. I just this episode ended with that scene, and I just sat there for a moment, and I was just like, wow, okay, Game of Thrones.
I looked across at my wife. She just looked at me. She went, well, I didn't like that.
No.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I gave her no warning. I feel so bad.
You're a bad person.
You've been giving me warnings all day. Watched it around lunchtime. I watched it late in the evening.
I saw that they've added a trigger warning. Like, people complained and they added a trigger warning for others. And I told you that, and you elected not to warn her.
I didn't warn her at all. And you know what the worst part is?
You're a bad person. Go on.
The worst part is she was making a cup of tea before she came in to watch it.
Yeah.
So she didn't even see the trigger warning. She just came into the actual intro of the show.
You're a bad person.
I feel so bad.
You are.
It was just the look on her face. I did not like that bit. Oh, sorry.
No. A mother being forced to choose between which of her kids dies, I imagine something like. Mate, that's all of my notes. Is there any other bits from this episode you wanted to dig out?
I don't think so.
No.
I quite like the anti-dragon, like the spear guns.
The scorpions, yeah. Actually,
the scorpions, that's it.
Now you've mentioned that, I want to bring this up because that Maester in Game of Thrones acted like he invented those.
Yeah.
And clearly he just kind of reinvented or kind of dug out the plans and built one. I don't see anyone discussing that anywhere, so I don't know whether I remember it wrong, but I swear that guy like demonstrates it to the Queen and is like, look what I've invented, we can kill dragons with this, look, it pierces the dragon's skull. And I was like, oh, okay, so you invented it. Because I think even they call it like, it's Maester whatever's scorpion.
Yeah, whereas now it's kind of like, oh, that was around beforehand, actually.
100 years ago, they had scorpions everywhere. I mean, don't get me wrong, man, this is the time of dragons, so it makes sense.
It makes sense to have things like that. It's like they see a dragon, they're like, dragon!
But at the same time, the Seven Kingdoms are all subservient to the Targaryens because of dragons. Surely, if you're the House Stark or whatever, you just build 1,000 of those scorpions and then say, yeah, we're independent, bring it. I mean, so I'm kind of like...
Can you imagine the whole of the wall has just got scorpions lined up every so far? Yeah,
come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. I mean, don't get me wrong. The dragons means you're the only air force, so you are.
Well, that's true.
And they've got a lot of them. If they were all on the same side at the moment, they're not. But so yeah, it just that did kind of I'm glad you mentioned that. That was one of those things I was kind of like, I thought he claimed, and it would suit that character though. That if he did kind of claim it, like, yeah, I've invented this. He just found the plans somewhere. That would very much suit that time as well. So that is it for episode 1 of season 2. Like I said, it has been renewed for season 3 and filming begins in the autumn of this year. A release date isn't confirmed yet, but the rumour is it will be every other year for House of the Dragon, with HBO putting another show in between, another spin-off of Game of Thrones, and that would be the Hedge Knight, the Adventures of Duncan the Tall, which when Game of Thrones came out, I hadn't read the Song of Ice and Fire books. But obviously once I realised I was really into it and it was based on the books, I got them, started reading them. And then there was loads and loads of like additional stories inspired by the books and everything. And one of the first ones I bought was the Hedge Knight. So I'm over the moon with this. Like it's really.
Yeah, see, I'm going in blind. Very much.
And it could be a lot of fun because basically the Hedge Knight is like this big tall knight who wanders around Westeros with his squire. And they
cutting down hedges.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's about gardening. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting. It's like,
can't wait.
Alan Titchmarsh, but 7 foot tall.
That's why it's called the Hedge Knight, because he can see over the hedges.
Yeah,
he's so tall.
You get it. So Duncan the Tall, and they basically just get into shit, and they like complete quests. Sort of like think of it as basically they're just doing side quests constantly.
Gotcha.
And it is, you could, like, for me it's like, you could have a lot of fun with this. Like this could be a very good, gritty but a lot of fun show. Where almost like Mandalorian level, where every episode's like, okay, I'm trying to advance the story here, but I now need to I need this piece of information. I'll give it to you, but you need to help me with this. Fine.
Yeah.
So you could have a lot of fun. They could
really explore a lot of
Westeros,
Westeros by doing that,
Yeah, and he does. He adventures all over the place, basically trying to build a reputation. And he's a big, imposing figure, and yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything, but yeah, it could be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. And if the rumor is true that we're going to kind of get these alternating series, it's going to be a little bit weird because, like I said, I like having my shows return, but perhaps that's a thing of the past because more and more shows now take longer in production. So perhaps it is a show every year is now no longer the thing. Who knows? But mate, I really enjoyed episode 1. I thought it was a great opening. We will be back next week to discuss episode 2. If you are a fan of Star Wars and The Acolyte, episode 4 for that show is out very soon, and our show discussing it will be out the day later. If you are a fan of The Boys, season 4 of that show is also back with us, and episode 4 of The Boys will be available very soon, and our podcast discussing it straight after. So if you're fans of The Acolyte, The Boys, and House of the Dragon, you are going to be hearing our voices a lot for the next few weeks.
Yes, and then bring in Umbrella Academy.
That's in August. I've not
got them
August yet. I've not got them. We got Deadpool and Wolverine in July. Yeah, we got a lot coming. So thank you everybody for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you're enjoying House of the Dragon season 2. We'll be back next week.
My father brought King Jaehaerys and Queen Alysanne to see the wall. His grace stood at this very outlook and watched as their dragons, the greatest power in the world, refused to cross it. Do you think my ancestors built a 700-foot wall of ice to keep out snow and savages? What does it keep out? Death.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.